Hey, everybody. What's going on? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, and the season's over. The season is over. We got a lot of stuff to go over right now that I didn't go over a wild card review of the Colts-Bills game. What's going on, Colts Nation? What's going on, FaZe? And everyone else that's showing up right now, especially those that are listening to the podcast, those watching on Sportscaster, YouTube, everywhere else. Brandon, thanks, man. Appreciate you being here. There's so much to go over. And before I go over everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give my thoughts real quick. It's going juiced up. My thoughts real quick about the wild card game against the Bills. All right, get that out there in public with all you guys. And quite frankly, I'm not too upset. I mean, yes, we could have, I felt like we should have won that game frankly, we should have won the game against the Bills, but I'm not upset that we lost, not too much. I mean, we took the best team, in my opinion, right now in the NFL, and we took them all the way to the end of the game. We scared the heck out of them. We should have won. I mean, if you look at time of possession, if you look at yardage, you look at everything. I mean, we got pressure on Allen. We did a good job. We gave up a few big plays, which we all knew was going to happen. We weren't going to stop Josh Allen and Diggs from making big plays throughout the game. Rivers did a great job. Taylor and Hines did a good job throughout the game. There was some questionable play calling, but at the same time, I can't really be upset with the play calls because, yes, he went for it. He knew he was going to have to score points on the Bills. So he went for it on 4th and goal. Now, not succeeding, knowing that he was not, if he did not succeed in that play call, he knew he was going to trap the Bills deep in their own end zone and make them forced to go a long way to score, which they did. But, you know, I don't disagree with that analytical call. I really don't. The missed field goal hurts, but it just came down to execution the entire game. It came down to execution. And if we executed properly, we would have won. But we didn't. So that's what happens. Yeah. It was a good throw, right? I mean, it happens. Execution. That's all it was. But I'm not upset with Phillip Rivers. I thought Phillip Rivers had a great season. I thought he did a great job in the wild card game. First time Phillip Rivers ever lost in a wild card game in his career. Now, so personally, good luck to the Bills the rest of the time. The way I feel, if you beat my team in the playoffs, you better win the Super Bowl. That's how I feel about it. And I thought the Colts really gave the Bills everything that they could handle. They surprised a lot of teams and a lot of fans in the NFL. We were the closest game, and we weren't supposed to be, right? We were not supposed to be the closest game in the wild card weekend. We were the huge seed difference, right? 7th seed versus the 2 seed. We were supposed to get blown out, but we were the closest game of that entire weekend. But no, if you want to know what I have planned for this weekend, go to Sportscaster. Check me out on Sportscaster because that's where my previews. 7:00 Eastern Standard Time today on Sportscaster. I'll be with all my guys analyzing this weekend's games. I think the Bills have a real shot against the Ravens, but just let's calm that down. We're going to go over the Colts off-season questions right now. All right. And first and foremost, oh, Brandon, no, I don't like Carson or Dak on the Colts. I'll get into that later. Okay. And I'll explain 2 different reasons, 2 completely different reasons, but I'll explain in a minute. Here's the issue, and it's going to hurt a lot of people. The Indianapolis Colts have 23 players that at the end of their contracts now. The end of their contracts. And the Colts only have, and I kid you not, $61 million in cap space this year. And they have over half a team to sign. Over half a team. That's nuts. And only $61 million. And it's not like we got issues with dead cap. We only got $250,000 in dead cap, $255,000. We have one of the lowest dead caps in the NFL. But we got a bunch of people that signed long term. So yeah, that's going to hurt us. I mean, you figure Ryan Kelly and DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, they got long-term extensions this past season, right? So yeah, Jack Doyle, that's going to hurt a little bit. But he's worth that, almost $5 million, wouldn't you say? Kenny Moore, there's another $5.5 million. It's not that big of a hit, but figure this out. Let's go over some of these guys that we're losing this year. Obviously, our quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett. Okay. That means we got to re-sign probably one of them, most likely Phillip Rivers, if we re-sign a quarterback. We got T.Y. Hilton coming off the mark. Justin Houston. Denico Autry. Questions on whether we'll re-sign Malik Hooker. Most likely not. I don't think so. Xavier Rhodes. LaRaven Clark. Tavon Wilson. Travis Carey. Trey Burton. Chaz Green. Joey Hunt. Taylor Stallworth. Traymon Smith, Marlon Mack, Anthony Walker Jr., Al-Qadim Muhammad, George Odom, Ashton Doolin, Zach Pascal, Mo Alley Cox, and the backup punter, Ryan Allen. Those are 23 guys on our 53-man roster, or 55-man roster of this year. 23 of 55. That's over half. That's a shocking. Yeah. Okay, well, I haven't checked out the Doolin and mother. My cat is pissing me off. Okay, so my cat's running around like a chicken with her head cut off, knocking over lights, knocking over cameras, knocking over everything, and it's nuts. Yeah, George Odom, I don't see how George Odom is not going to get re-signed. I mean, he's an all-pro. He should get re-signed, right? No question. Give me a moment while I fix my light. So, you're looking at George Odom, most likely going to get re-signed because all-pro. That's awesome. Now, did you say Stallworth and Doolin has been re-signed? Did I see that earlier? So that's cool. Awesome. I didn't look. I didn't notice that. They are good. That's going to be great. But yeah, we're not even talking about the extensions of like Darius Leonard and Braden Smith, guys like that. They're huge players to this team that's going to need extensions. And look at like Darius Leonard right now, his market value is $19 million. $19 million. We have $63 million in cap space. So that's a third of our cap space. Bam, gone. To keep Darius Leonard. Not worried about Quentin Nelson right now because we could drop a fifth-year option on him. Chris Ballard will probably do that and then give him his extension sometime next season or the season after. So I'm not too worried about that. He'll get his, and it'll probably be somewhere between $15 and $20 million as well. So I don't know if we can afford to keep T.Y. I'd love to keep T.Y. for a one-year deal. But right now, his estimated net worth right now on the market's $10 million. Are we going to pay T.Y. Hilton $10 million? That'll drop us to like $20 million, about $30 million left. And then we'll have to re-sign all those people. Yes. Mo Alley Cox, free agent. Yeah. Like I said, man, guys, I would love to see re-signed. Me personally, I would like to see Mo Alley Cox re-signed. I'd like to see Zach Pascal re-signed. I thought Doolin showed a lot of nice stuff on the field. Definitely George Odom. I'd hate to see Anthony Walker Jr. leave. He's played so great for us. But I would understand, because of cap space, having such a deep linebacking core, I'd hate that. But if they could find a way of keeping him for a lower contract, great. Same with Marlon Mack. If we could keep Marlon Mack for a lower contract, even a one-year deal, like a prove it, hey, you're going to come back from this Achilles tear. Would you be willing to pay, do a 1 year, $3 million or something just to prove that you're still good? After that, that'd be great. Trey Burton, let him go. I'd let Trey Burton go. I know all you guys think, hey, Trey Burton was this great guy. He can't block for squat, okay? He's a nice option at the tight end, but he can't block at all. And in my opinion, if you can't block at tight end, I don't want you on the team. I got wide receivers out there that block better than you. Michael Pittman Jr., heck yeah, he blocks better than Trey Burton. He's a big wide receiver. Zach Pascal, same way, blocks better than Trey Burton. So if I need a physical wide receiver, I put them out there at the tight, up close against there. I'd be better that way. Just my personal opinion. Let LaRaven Clark walk. Please, God, let LaRaven Clark walk. TJ Carey. Yes, please. Let's re-sign TJ Carey. All right, he was here for a 1 year, $1 million deal. And he's 31. I get that, but he played really good. Give him a 2-year contract. That's the way I see it. I could see him on a 2-year contract. Zach Pascal, though, we just talked about Zach Pascal. You know what his market value is right now? $8.5 million. That's his market value right now because of what he's done the past 2 years. His market value is $8.5 million. Is Zach Pascal worth $8.5 million to you? That's a chunk of cash. So that's if you kept Zach and T.Y., that's almost $20 million of market value. That's huge. Huge. I don't even want to talk about how much Braden Smith will probably run somewhere between 12 and $13 million. Braden Smith. And there's no way we're letting go of Braden Smith. And he needs to be re-signed this year because this will be he's coming up on his 4th year and he's a 2nd round pick. So we can't 5th round option his ass. Or sorry. There are going to be some really tough decisions. You're right, Brandon. A lot of tough decisions in this offseason for the Colts. A lot of them. I agree Malik Hooker probably won't be back unless he signs really, really cheap. What about Denico Autry and Justin Houston? They're both 31, 32 years old, and between them right now, they're pushing right around $18 million between them. market value. Do we let him go? That's almost 20 sacks. If we let them go, that's 20 sacks gone. Because they both had 9.5 sacks on the season. Yeah. They're not elite, but they're in very, very good bookends to a defensive line that's played excellent as a team unit this season. What do you do with those guys? It's going to be so difficult. But I don't know what to do, man. There is too many people to re-sign that I don't want to let go and not enough money to keep them all. We're going to end up having to let some people go that have been big playmakers for the Colts. Big playmakers. So, yeah. You got a lot of people running here. Well, I mean, but honestly, that's what happens with good teams, right? I mean, when you're put in a position like this, that proves you've got a really good overall team. When you got guys you don't want to let go and re-sign, that you're not going to re-sign, and they're going to be starters for other teams at some point. Probably next year. I'll about put you money that guys like Anthony Walker Jr., if he's not a Colt next year, he'll be a starter somewhere. Denico Autry, same thing. He'll be a starter somewhere, whether he's a Colt or whether he's somewhere else. Same with Justin Houston. No, we have not, Brandon. Or Faye, or who was it that brought that up? Someone. Colts Nation. That's it. That's who brought it up. I'm sorry. I had to look to see who brought it up. We have not talked about Xavier Rhodes yet. No, we have not. We have to bring Xavier Rhodes back. But his estimated market value was pretty darn high. You know how much he played for this year? You know how much Xavier Rhodes played for $3 million this year for the Colts on a prove it deal. Well, guess what? He proved it. Now his market value is $8 million. $8 million. And he has one of the best defensive quarterback ratings against in the NFL. In the NFL. $8 million, I'd take him. But my goodness, you spend the money on him, you most likely are not going to keep Denico Autry or Justin Houston, which means you're going to have to get a really good defensive end in the draft. Okay? Because Chris Ballard has proven he's not very good at drafting cornerbacks. Okay? He can draft safeties. I thought Malik Hooker was a good safety. Carey Willis is a good safety. Malik Hooker just got hurt all the time. You know, Blackman showed to be a good safety. Carey Willis, good safety. He can draft safeties. But the corners that he's picked up, not been very good. He can sign them free agents. Guys like TJ Carey and Xavier Rhodes and Kenny Moore, guys like that. But the corners he's not been very good with. The same with defensive tackles. Now Grover Stewart's been good, but he fell off the last couple of weeks of the season. But, I mean, if we keep T.Y. Hilton, that's $10 million. We haven't even talked about positions that we're going to have to fill. Left tackle. Congratulations, Anthony Castonzo, for retiring. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful life outside of football. But that leaves the Colts in a dire situation at left tackle. And I don't want to hear this crap about Quentin Nelson moving to left tackle. I know a lot of people are talking about it. And sure, I think he'd be great at left tackle. But that would kill the Colts in the run game. Because having Quentin Nelson beside Ryan Kelly and having Quentin Nelson at that position to be able to do his pulls, things of that nature, that's what makes the Colts run game go. You move him out the left tackle, goodbye. Goodbye. Our run game won't be the same. So we need to get a left tackle, whether in the free agency or the draft, in my opinion. Yeah, Kenny's on a contract. He's got one more year left on his contract. Kenny Moore does. He was signed a 3-year extension, made him the highest paid nickel corner a couple years ago. So he's got one more year. But what are we going to do about his extension? He's been playing great too. He's going to cost money. Hopefully we'll have more year next offseason to be able to extend him. But yeah, we'll have to go free agency for a left tackle. We can't go with Jared Valdir, who filled in for Anthony Castonzo in the Wildcard game and filled in very well against the Bills, mind you. But we can't use him. He's with the Green Bay Packers. He's back with the Green Bay Packers on the COVID-19 list, getting ready to help them. But quarterback-wise, going back to FaZe's original question at the beginning, I don't want Carson Wentz. First off, I don't see any way the Eagles will be able to even trade him, okay? Because there's not a team in the NFL that will pick up Carson Wentz's contract as is for what Carson Wentz showed the last 2 seasons. And there's no way in heck Carson is going to renegotiate his contract and take a massive pay cut in order to trade him. Who's going to get rid of $33 million a year? But he wants to be a starter too. He's there putting a lot of pressure on the Eagles. I get the whole Frank Reich, Carson Wentz thing, but Carson Wentz ain't look good at all. At all. I don't want him. And as for Dak Prescott, he wouldn't sign a $35 million contract a year with the Cowboys. First off, the Colts can't afford $35 million right now. Second off, I don't think Dak's worth $35 million. I did an off-season breakdown of him, film room. He's got great quarterback things about him that are elite. His accuracy isn't one of them. His accuracy is not one. Now, can he look off safeties? Yes. Does he have scrambling ability? Yes. Does he have the ability to read a defense? Yes. His accuracy, though, is not at even a good level. And yes, I know he's got a ton of yards, but his wide receivers help him out so much. They get so wide open between the fact that they're really good and the fact that Dak can scramble and give them time to go to open spots, that when he throws the football, there's no one within 10 yards of him a lot of times. And they can run to go get the football on a bad pass. I've seen it over and over and over. I think Dak's going to handicap a team next year, whether it's the Cowboys or somebody else. Unless Dak Prescott signs for a cheap $25 million deal, which I think is more in the range of where he's actually available for. And I don't see Dak accepting that. Not by the way that he's been, pretty much nullifying 5-year deals worth $35 million a year from the Cowboys. Hey, Brandon, he was 2-4 this year as a starter. Dak Prescott, he put up the numbers but couldn't win games. He was either 2-4 or 1-4. I think he might have only been 1-4 as a starter this year before he got hurt. So, yeah, he was putting up numbers, but he wasn't winning games. They threw the ball too much. He put up a lot of numbers last year, too. He put up big numbers last year. I don't think that Dak's worth it. Not yet. I don't like Jimmy G either, Brandon. I don't think he's good. He can't throw the football past 20 yards. I mean, he can, but he's awful accuracy. His accuracy is not good, okay? If you want to keep everything within 20 yards, yeah, sure. You know, let Jimmy Garoppolo be your quarterback, and it'll work. It works fine for the Niners, but I don't want him. I trust Rivers throwing the ball deep more than I do Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's sad. Brandon, when you're talking about potential with Dak, I agree. He's got potential. But I don't want to drop $35, $40 million for 4 or 5 years on a contract for potential. That's the kind of money that you got to prove it. And the problem is to me, he hasn't proved it, especially with the team we have. Yes, I like Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford would be a good guy. Marvell Tell, he's good this year because Tell will be with the Colts this year because he took the opt-out, so his contract moves on to the next year. So he'll still be on the team. I like Matt Stafford. He's proven it year in, year out. If we get him, great. I don't know how we're going to. I like Darnold. But if we end up, say the Colts give the Jets, let's say the Jets decide they want Justin Fields and they're going to put Darnold on the table. Okay? Let's just say that happens. And the Colts grab him. And they grab him with a second round and a third round pick, or a second and a fourth, or something like that. Okay? Let's say that happens. I want Rivers back for another year. Because Darnold right now has PST. PTS. That's it. PTS. Post-traumatic stress syndrome. And he'll need a year to recover from being the quarterback of the Jets. Okay? That's how I see it. But I think once he recovers, I think he'd be a great quarterback. I'm going to do a film room on Darnold, okay? This offseason, I'm going to do one. I'll do one on him. I'll do one on Matty Stafford. I'll do one. I already did one on Dak last year. You know, I'll do some of these to look in to see how good they are. Speaking of which, I want to thank everybody who checked out my Michael Pittman Jr. rookie film room that I did. I think it's around 500 views right now. I released it yesterday or day before, something like that. Really love the fact that it's getting some views. Don't forget to check that out. Hit that like button on it. Share it out. Let people know that I got something out there on him. TJ gets re-signed with Marvel. You don't know. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know. It depends upon what Carey would re-sign for, if he did. Derek Carr could be an option. He could be. I like Derek Carr. To me, Derek Carr is a younger Phillip Rivers. Does that make sense? He's like Phillip Rivers, but younger. So, I could see Derek Carr behind this Colts offensive line. No, I don't want Cam Newton. I don't want Cam Newton because right now, Cam Newton to me is kind of like Jacoby Brissett. Right? I see a lot of similarities in his plays of what I saw from Jacoby Brissett back in 2019. So I think the Colts could do better than that right now. Oh, Roland Santos, thanks. Appreciate you talking. No, I did not get into his run blocking. He's in my perimeter run blocking breakdown film room as well. So that's what I did. I left him in that. Brandon says, I think TJ will probably go somewhere else, but you guys have a young receiving core. Yeah. Look, I'm a little worried about some of our guys. TY. Okay, TY. Tyquan Lewis. Yeah, he's another guy. This will be his final year for the Indianapolis Colts too. And this year he showed up. There was times where he was just dominant out there. So maybe we end up letting Houston or Autry go because we can't afford them. And maybe Lewis steps into that starting role on the empty of the outside. I mean, it's good that we have a lot of depth there. So that's possible. And then still draft another defensive end and a tackle because we need our offensive tackle. Those are, in my opinion, two of our most important positions that we need right now. I know a lot of people say we need cornerbacks, but I don't think we need cornerbacks. Everybody thought, oh, well, our pass defense is awful. It's our scheme is why we give up yardage and stuff. Our scheme gives up that stuff because we give up all these. We have so many holes in cover 2 and cover 3 that we play so much. And that's why quarterbacks can go out there and throw a ton of freaking yards on us and have high completion percentages. That's the God honest truth. Xavier Rhodes plays in this scheme very well. Kenny Moore plays in this scheme very well. So, yeah. I do agree that Justin Houston is, he is, especially pregame. I don't know if you ever watched Justin Houston hype the defense up before the game. You know, when they get into the huddle and he sits in the center and he gives the hype speech. The guy really doesn't talk much to like media and stuff, but as a locker room presence, Houston's a big locker room presence, and that'll be important if we keep him. But my goodness, Denico Autry has played his butt off for the contract that we gave him, that 3-year contract, when we snagged him from, I think it was the Raiders. So, yeah. I love Houston. I love Autry. Like I think they're very good all-round players. They're good against the run. They're good against the pass. They're not exceptional right now, like the way Houston was in his prime, but he's still very, very solid all the way around as a player. Well, yeah, they took that on purpose. Brandon says he's shocked that New England has so much cap space because it's rare to see. They don't have anyone left on their team. They're in a very similar situation the Colts are, only the Colts have more talent on their team right now. I really think that the Colts have a lot more talent on their team. They just have a couple holes they need to fill. Whereas New England, they got an entire offense they have to fill, plus a couple spots on their defensive front 7. So that's the situation in that. Hey, guys, don't forget, if you're watching, like I got this little scrolling down here, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Share the video. Follow me on Sportscaster. And if you're listening to this on a podcast after the fact, please share it. Share it to your social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. Just share it out. Let other people know that I'm out here. Roland Santos, Colts Nation, I'll be right. Yeah, a lot of people would run through a wall for Justin Houston. I know. Rock Ya-Sin, no, I don't think Rock Ya-Sin is 100% developed. He's good. But the problem with Rock is he was a wrestler also. So he's a naturally a physical cornerback. And it's coming to bite him once in a while with PIs. You wish the Ravens had cap space like that? Oh, man. I don't know. The Ravens right now are in a predicament as well, especially, you know, they were in that predicament at the beginning of the year. That's why they had to tag Judon. And Judon actually played better than what a lot of you Ravens fans thought he was going to do, I think, this season. You know, he stepped up when he needed to when COVID hit, right? He did. In certain situations, certain times, he really stepped up. Him and Wolf, both. So, you guys have got some, you guys have got a lot to figure out there. Colts Nation asked about Joey Hunt. That's a good question. Some of these guys we will end up re-signing on the cheap. I think Joey Hunt will probably re-sign on the cheap. Some of these offensive linemen that are backups, I think will re-sign on the cheap. So, me personally, if Chris Ballard finds a way of getting Matt Stafford, I wouldn't worry about Rivers. But if he can't get someone like Matt Stafford, I would ask Rivers, hey, if you want to come back, we'll re-sign you for another year. See if we can't get Darnold. See what's going on with Jacob Eason. You know, maybe look in the draft. I would not trade up in the draft because right now we don't have a bunch of draft picks to work with. And we have holes that we're going to have to fill because we can't re-sign all these guys like I'm talking about. Al-Qadim Muhammad, exactly like I talked about. I don't think Al-Qadim Muhammad's going to be a Colt next year. Has he shown some plays and flashes of good play? Yes. Will he play in the NFL next year? Yes. I don't know if the Colts can afford him. Because I got a feeling that Al-Qadim Muhammad is one of those guys that if given a starting position like he did last season, I think he could have a big year. And I don't think the Colts can afford to keep him. Oh, I see a lot of, like I said, I see a lot of players becoming starters for another team. Obviously, if we don't re-sign him. T.Y. Hilton, definitely. Denico, Autry, or Justin Houston, definitely. If we don't keep either of those guys, they would be starters somewhere else. Anthony Walker Jr. would be a starter on another team. He would be a starter on 80%, at least 80% of the teams in the NFL at middle linebacker. Anthony Walker Jr. is one of the best middle linebackers in football. Problem is, we got two guys on the team that are very, very good at that position. Okay? Swaggy, no. There is no way that the Colts are going to move that far. It would take too much draft capital to get Justin Fields. And because we don't have a lot of draft picks like we have in the past, I don't see Ballard doing it. I just don't. And especially with the fact that history talks about Ohio State quarterbacks, no matter how good they look in college, don't turn out well in the NFL. Right? They don't. No matter how hyped or how good they look in college, they turn out not good in the NFL. Could Justin Fields be that exception? Absolutely. It would cost the Colts way too much to go up and get him, considering we have other positions that we're going to have to fill, being that our cap space is so low at $61 million, and we have over half a team to sign. over half a team. So that's the problem. I don't have a problem with how Rivers played the wildcard game. I think I thought Rivers played incredibly well against Buffalo. I think he played incredibly well for the season. After week 8, I think Rivers was like a top 7 quarterback in the NFL after week 8. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with Rivers. He doesn't have a cannon, but he's one of the most accurate and smart quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't have a problem with re-signing him for another season, as long as we have his replacement behind him. We have a replacement behind him I'd be happy with. As I haven't broke down a lot of college guys yet because I don't watch a lot of college football except during the offseason. That's when I start breaking down players because I cover the NFL so in depth throughout the NFL season. I don't have a lot of time to actually watch college games. I've heard both those names, so we'll see. There'll probably be a film room on one or both of Mac Jones or Kyle Trask. Yeah, LaRaven Clark and Chaz Green will probably both be gone. I'm not really big on the fullback thing, FaZe. FaZe says, should we sign a fullback as a undrafted free agent? And I'm not really a big fullback guy. The Colts really don't need a fullback. The running back room is very, very solid. And the Colts get away with not needing a fullback because of their tight ends. Their tight ends are really, really good. Their wide receivers are very, very good. As a team, they block well on an individual basis. So I don't have a problem running no fullback. That's just my thought. Just my thought. But yeah, Brian, you're right. It is not an easy job for Chris Ballard this offseason. This will probably be his toughest offseason of the year. Most likely. And I'm sorry, but there's going to be a lot of players that are Colts favorites, fan favorites, that just are not going to make it. Hey, I want to thank Open Heart, Kaiser, Beth Carolina fan, and Epic Mia for joining me on Sportscaster. Appreciate you being here. If I didn't name you off and you're watching live, please don't forget, make a profile here on Sportscaster. You can link it to just about anywhere, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, your email. Take you 10, 15 seconds. Then you can give me a follow. That way you're notified next time I go live. All right. Is T.Y. worth bringing back? Love him, but he's not getting any better. Yeah, I've answered that question earlier, and it's $10 million. We have $61 million. I don't know if we bring him back. If he wants the full $10 million, what he's worth right now, then I don't think we can afford him. I really don't. I think Indy is actually pretty deep at wide receiver. I hope Paris Campbell stays healthy next year because I'd love to see Paris, Ashton Doolin, Michael Pittman Jr., and Zach Pascal on the field. That'd be a pretty good wide receiving core. I don't think that he would take $1 million, though, Swaggy. I get that. Just a $1 million 1 year. Who in their right mind would put their body through that kind of pain for 1 year? I mean, that kind of punishment for $1 million when they know they're worth a lot more than that. And they've proven it on the field. Harrison asked, what position would I draft with our number 1 draft pick? Most likely a tackle. I would probably take an offensive tackle. Now, if we can't get a quarterback from free agency in a trade or something like trading for Darnold or Matt Stafford or something like that or whatever, I would look at the quarterbacks, see how they fall, but offensive tackle would be a number one priority. Quarterback would be there if one falls to me without me having to go up to get him. But he'd also have to be the right fit for my organization, the way Ballard explained in his press conference. That's my thought process on that. I would definitely take an offensive tackle first. But who knows? I mean, that happens a lot where an offensive, a position you're looking for just gets ran on in the first round. And the quality of what's left isn't worth the draft pick that you're spending. You move on to the next position. You could find a diamond somewhere else. I would not spend a first round pick on a quarterback that I feel is a third or fourth round quarterback because quarterbacks had a big run on in early. I would rather take it and go grab a tackle. Same with tackle. If there's a run on tackles, screw it, Okay, that's fine. A wide receiver drops that I feel is a top 15 wide receiver, drops to me at that point, pick him up. All right? Or if I feel there is a massive playmaking tight end, that should be a top 10 pick at the tight end position, pick him up. It really depends upon how the draft falls on what I would pick up. Yeah. Kenny Moore's a nickel. Xavier Rhodes is a shutdown corner. Xavier Rhodes played as a shutdown corner. He was the third best cornerback in the NFL, PFF rating wise, versus passer rating in the NFL this year. Go look it up. He allowed a 64.3% passer rating against him. If that's not shutdown, I don't know what is. I don't know. We talked about that earlier. His contract, because of his play this year, his contract went from $3 million to now his net worth is about $8.5 million. So hopefully we get him back. I don't know yet. I'd like to. Like I said, we have 23 players out of 55-man roster that we had this year. 23 players are gone. Over half the starting roster is gone this year. And we only have $61 million to fill those spaces. And that's scary. Ethan, no, that was Xavier Rhodes. TJ Carey played very well, too. TJ Carey played very well. $61 million is nowhere near enough to fill 23 spaces. I mean, it's not, especially with what we got to re-sign for. I mean, like I said, Justin Houston, Denico Autry, they're going to cost a bunch of money. A quarterback is probably going to cost a bunch of money, obviously. T.Y. Hilton would cost a bunch of money. Rhodes, bunch of money. Carey might cost some money. George Odom will probably cost a little money. He just became a pro, all-pro. Zach Pascal right now, his worth is, what did I say earlier? Zach Pascal's worth $8.5 million if we re-sign him. $8.5 million. Mo Alley Cox, I can't let him go. He's going to be a tight end for a team next year. He's got the film from the last couple of years. I get you, Swaggy. Both. Okay, hold on. I get Houston and Autry, both in their 30s. You let them go, that's 19 sacks gone that we had this year. 19. And those are bookends. Both guys had 9.5 sacks this year. 9.5 sacks. That's solid. And they're both very good against the run. So you let them both go. We all of a sudden don't have a defensive line on edge. On the edge. Our edge is gone. Because those are both of our starters. We have depth. But is our depth as good as our starting line? I don't think so. I mean, we've got some players that have potential. But I don't know. It won't be as good. And the Colts defense relied on their defensive line last year. No, go look. All three of them, Denico, Autry, Justin Houston, and DeForest Buckner, all had right around 9.5, 10 sacks on the season. No, I don't want Zach Ertz. Ted Ailes, I don't want Zach Ertz. He's too old. We got tight ends. We have tight ends. I love our tight ends. If we're going to draft, re-sign Mo Alley-Cox. I'll take Mo Alley-Cox over Zach Ertz every day. He's got big playability. Plus, he's one of the better blockers. Same with Jack Doyle. If I want an older tight end, give me Jack Doyle because he shows he's still got it as a receiver and he's still a very good run blocker. Zach Ertz don't run block very well. Yes, DeForest Buckner was an awesome pickup. And I don't care. He's worth that $21 million a year. Period. Even like I said, he's asking about Mac Jones. I can't really talk about those guys yet, college players, because I don't know much about college. I don't watch the games and the film on college players during the NFL season. I have to go back and look at it afterwards because I do so much with the NFL as the season progresses. I think that the AFC South is going to be a very tough division in a couple years. In 2 years, I think the AFC South is going to be a really tough division. I think as long as the Houston Texans gets the right leadership inside and Jacksonville starts making moves, because they've cleaned house in Jacksonville. And now they've got Urban Meyer. I think in 2 years, Urban Meyer can make them a competitive team. And Houston still has their cornerstone pieces. They in a fantastic passing attack to go along with a couple good pass catching running backs. They need help on their defense. The AFC South is going to be a very tough division pretty soon. Swaggy asked, if Deshaun Watson asked for a trade, what would I be willing to give up? Well, first off, the Houston Texans would not trade directly to the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Indianapolis Colts could offer 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks, and they still would not give the Indianapolis Colts Deshaun Watson for that, okay? And I wouldn't be willing to trade that much for Deshaun Watson. Pretty close, but not that much for Deshaun Watson. There's no way in the world they would give a top 3 quarterback to their division rival for anything. For anything. The only way that would happen is like if the Colts said, hey, San Francisco, why don't you go trade for Deshaun Watson? And whatever you give them for Deshaun Watson, we'll give you plus something else. That's what I'm saying. That's the only way that the Colts could get Deshaun Watson. That's all I'm saying. There's no way that the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson is going to require 3 first-round picks to get. 3. The equivalent of. Whether it's 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks or something of that nature. He is going to require at least that on a trade. To the Colts, there would be nothing. I mean, you would literally have to give all of your draft picks for the next 3 years, and then maybe Houston Texans might consider it. Oh, good Lord, no, Tiddles. I would not give DeForest Buckner for Watson. Man, actually, no, only because of the guaranteed money that DeForest Buckner has. They are both big-time cornerstone pieces, offensively and defensively. It'd be a fair trade. But it would hurt us over the next 5 years due to dead cap. I couldn't do it. And Colts Nation says if we traded that much, we would be the Texans of the last 3 years. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So, guys, thanks so much for joining me. We went over a lot of stuff, but I've been here an hour. I got to prepare for my divisional round stream on Sportscaster with my other boys out there, Ray Rout, Joe Nubo, and Keith McPherson. We're getting ready to go over the Saturday games. So thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget, like I said, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Hit the notification bell so you're notified next time I go live. Share to your favorite social media. It would help me so much. I'm on the road to 1K subscribers on YouTube, so it would help me a ton. I would appreciate it. And yes, thanks everybody for being here. Maho. That's what do you say? Even Jay Cutler got 2 firsts, 1 third, and a 5th. Safe to say Watson would get more. You are absolutely, positively right. So thanks so much for being here. Appreciate everybody. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law. And as usual, I want you have a good one.